Avetis Antaplyan is the founder and CEO of HIRECLOUT, a global technology recruitment firm headquartered in LA with 30 employees across the US, Colombia, Armenia, and India. Two-time Inc. 5000 fastest growing company in the US. In 2022, they had their best year ever.
2022, we killed it. I did very well.
Then the market turned, and he faced a decision that every founder dreads.
It got to a point where we were, breaking even barely, right? So there was no more profit to talk about. We were breaking even.
Founders across the globe were making layoffs, but Avetis made a different choice.
I don't do layoffs. I cared about my people. I took most of the profits and left it in the business. And guess what? My profit, most of it went away.
So 2.5 years of barely breaking even. But this failure revealed something important. And now he's building the opposite business.
The promise for them coming in is, we're going to take you as a 5, 6, 700K biller, and by these tools and systems and AI, we're going to try to get you to $1 million. I'm never burnt out because I only do things I enjoy.
So this is Avetis Antaplyan and how he learned that protecting average people costs everything. And now he's building something that makes exceptional people become unstoppable. Avetis, welcome to the RAG podcast.
Thank you so much, Sean. Thanks for having me.
No, pleasure. You're dialing in from LA, is that right?
Yeah, Los Angeles, absolutely.
Is that a real background, or is that?
That is literally our building with the trees. Yeah, that's what.
That is the weather today in LA.
70-something degrees is beautiful, man.
You do not want to know what it is like where I live right
Freezing?
now. It's not just cold. It's very cold. I think like 35 degrees Fahrenheit, US or something. But it's wet. There's been no sun for like 2 weeks, not one bit. Yeah, it's depressing, man.
I don't know how to deal with that because we have a guy in New York, and they talk about being snowed in. This morning, my windshield was completely iced out, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, what do I do? I can't drive. And
in
LA, just for that first half hour. But yeah. I thought it was hilarious, for us to panic about a little bit of ice. I was laughing to myself because my cousin in New York is iced out. Our employees are completely snowed out, and we're worrying about a little bit of fog or whatever.
Whereabouts in LA are you based?
So I live in Sherwood Forest, and our office is in Woodland Hills by Calabasas area. If you know where that is.
I did 3 months there when I was 19, turning 20.
Nice.
I did a month in Vegas, then 2 months LA, San Diego, but most of it was LA. Redondo Beach,
nice.
Manhattan Beach.
Great area.
Diamond Bar was a place I spent a week. That was a random spot.
That is.
And then I went
random.
up to Lake Isabella. Have you heard of that?
Lake Isabella. Oh yeah. Did you go fishing?
No, it was all work. So I was coaching soccer over there. I'm living with American families for a week, coaching the community, and then the week after you would go to a different place.
Lake Elizabeth. Yeah, I know where that is. We used to go fishing there as a kid.
Yeah, it's cool. Well, look, Avetis, I've done a brief introduction, but I can never do it justice. So for people who don't know you, I know I've got a global listenership, but a lot of the people are UK and even as far as Australia. Give us a quick 30-second elevator pitch of who you are today. I don't want any of the history, just the business, the headcount, what you do, and then we'll go back and tell.
Yeah. So founder and CEO of HIRECLOUT. We are a technology and go-to-market recruiting and consulting firm. And we also do a little bit of software development for clients, mostly AI related. Big tech, mid cap and post Series A startups. Companies probably about 25, 30 employees, including operations and marketing folks and all that. Headquartered in LA, but we have teams in Colombia, Armenia, and India, and New York and Nevada and so on and so forth. So we're expanding. We've been expanding nationally and globally for quite a few years.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So let's get into the story because I've done my research on you and it's pretty cool. So you weren't originally a recruiter, but when you were moving roles in senior positions, tell us the story how the recruiters that were engaging with you sparked the interest of joining the industry.
Well, at Kaplan, naturally I had an internal recruiting team that was building our teams, right?
For people who don't know, what is Kaplan?
Kaplan is a global test prep and admissions organization. So they're huge. So if you want to go get your MBA, you got to mostly go through them or Princeton to get, their your bachelor or your GMAT or whatever, for law school and things like that. Yeah. So Kaplan had acquired a startup in Palo Alto called Score Educational Centers. And so that's the division that I was running and building and rebuilding some of their centers and some of their smaller regions and scaling it and all that.
So what was your actual role, like expertise-wise?
I started very low, kind of as like a assistant director in a center, and then I took over a center, and then I took over. I rebuilt that one, and they started seeing this weird skill that I had, where I took crappy ass centers and I revitalized them. So I moved to this beautiful center called Westlake Village, which I don't know if you know the area. It's very, very wealthy, beautiful suburb, very close to Calabasas, probably about 15 minutes away. And I walk in, and it's one of the worst performing centers in the country. And I'm like, I don't understand it. And the store manager is telling me everything, all the reason, or store director, like all the reasons it's failing. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm done. And she's like, what do you mean you're done? I'm supposed to like train you about my center. I'm like, no, I'm good. What I realized is she had given up on our people. So I spent the next 6 months to a year just working on my team, and I had a very good team. So we rebuilt that, made it a top 5 center in the country, and kind of built a brand for me, right? So I got promoted, and then they were like, all right, go rebuild CME. And CME was also a dump. So I had to go and rebuild that. And then I had to, Santa Cruz is a dump. Go fix that. And so this was kind of my brand. The problem was, as I was growing and building and doing really well there, getting promotions, my next role was either corporate office in Chicago or New York, which I didn't want to move. I have wife and kids. At the time, I had aging parents. I still do. My mom's still around. My father's not, unfortunately, and my brothers and nephews and nieces. I'm like, I'm not moving. What's next? They go, well, if you wait a year, then we can get you into a VP role running California, whatever. I said, sure, whatever it takes. I'm a young guy, but very almost impatient. So I'm going through this, and we're at the very beginning of that recession we didn't even know about that was coming. And I guess it was hitting Kaplan. So they were like constantly pivoting decisions and people. And finally they said, hey, unfortunately, we're going to eliminate that position. I said, shit, all right, no problem. But then they brought in this guy that I did not like at all. He would talk shit about other people to me. I'm sure he talked shit about me. I just didn't like his character. And I said, hey, guys, I'm out. They're like, what do you mean you're out? I'm like, I'm out. I can't work for this guy. They're like, don't worry. We'll move you to someone else. And everywhere I went, I was just not inspired. And I said, you know what? I'm going to leave. I'm going to give you 90-day notice. No job in store, by the way. I have a wife at this point, like what are you doing quitting the job, So, but I knew I'd be fine. So I'm going through this process and interviewing through executive search firms who are trying to place me. And I'm going on interviews, I'm playing the game, but I'm very curious about what they do. So I start asking questions, start frustrating them. What do you do? Why do you do this? How do you do that? How do you like your job? And the guy's like, whoa, why are you asking me all these questions, man? I'm like, well, I'm kind of curious about what you do. He goes, no. Don't worry about that, man. You don't want to do this job. It's hard. You're going to take this one job at this one company.
Yeah, he wants to just find, he wants a fee.
It's the most confusing thing in the world. Think about from our standpoint, if we're trying to place a, director of engineering and midway, he's like, tell me about what you do. You're like, what? Yeah. Dude, I have an offer pending for you. So I'm going through this process and I have 2 offers and I'm like, begrudgingly about to take one of them, not because they weren't great companies, is because something in me was like tired of the corporate world. But when you're from the corporate world, what do? You go into the corporate world. And so Jessica, one of the awesome people I was telling you about in Westlake who helped me turn around that center, really trustworthy person. She goes, hey, one of my customers asked me if I could do an intro. He's trying to rebuild his business. And if I knew someone that could do it, and I recommended you, I said, well, thank you, Jessica, but I've already, basically I've got to decide between these 2 offers by Friday. She's like, what do you mean it's Tuesday? I'm like, I know. She goes, please meet him. I already promised I'm going to feel like a donkey. And this guy's a great customer, has 2 kids with our program. I said, sure, Jessica, whatever. So I go and meet him and he's got this weird sublease and it's like dusty and weird. He had shut down his Redondo office. He had been really kicking ass. Jeff Mitchell, by the way, is his name. Great dude. He had built a really nice business, but the 2001 recession, he had never really recovered from. Right. Still, making deals, still had clients, still had a couple of employees, but just, you could tell. And after meeting him, I said, look, I'm not interested in being a recruiter. I'm happy to come in and do the recruiting function, but I need you to get out of the way and let me rebuild this thing. Who says that? Who says that to a guy who's 40 at the time, 48 years old, who had been successful, owned a home in Manhattan Beach? Who the hell says that, right? Like the gumption of a.
You'd never done a day in recruiting.
Yeah, it's like shut the hell up.
Who are you to say you're going to build it?
Yeah. It was just this supreme confidence of like, I can
How old
help.
are you at this point?
I think I was 26. Yeah,
Yeah, so you've got
1981.
incredible energy.
I was 26 years old, but I had built a lot of like, not rebuilt some centers. So I'm looking at this business that had good bones, but is really in trouble. So I'm thinking, why would I give up these two opportunities to go rebuild a business and struggle like hell just to be like just a regular recruiter? Like, I'm happy to do the recruiting function. I'm excited about it, in fact, but like I don't want to just be some guy. So he's like, no, man, I need a franchise player, and that struck with me. I was like, So I can sit next to this guy, which at the time was a wise old owl, which I tell my team now, I'm scared because in 4 or 5 years, I hope I'm not that old wise owl that people want to sit next to and learn from. But I'm sitting there going, man, like I can learn a lot from this dude. I'm like, where would I sit, Jeff? He's like, where do you want to sit? I'm like, well, this office is pretty small. He's like, sit next to me. I'll tell you everything I know. I'm like, okay. So I took the job. It was the weirdest decision ever, by the way. I told my mom, she said, don't do it. I told my brother, he's like, I don't understand. I don't get it. Don't do it. Everybody was like, I'm really confused about why are you, wait, you're giving up this big salary, all these benefits to go do this? I'm really confused.
Clearly good at what you're doing as well.
Yeah, they were very confused. Yeah. I went to my wife. I was like, look, this is just a straight gut move. What do you think? She's like, well, look, you've never done this wrong. So follow your gut. I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. I mean, if anybody, my wife's going to have to, live through the poverty with me. And if she's cool with it, I'm cool with it. So I did it. And it was the weirdest decision ever. Came in, immediately started getting business. And Jeff looks at me and goes, damn, do you know anybody you want to bring over? Because all of a sudden, like, I'm getting business and it's easy. And I said, yeah. My whole Kaplan team, I think, is close to being fed up, So I start bringing in people and we're slowly interviewing them. And they're like, yeah, I mean, this is weird, but just, we trust you. Let us know, we'll come, I guess. And I was like, give me a little more time. Let me just make sure. Thank God.
How are you actually doing the job of a recruiter in the first?
100%. Business development. Pretty much.
You weren't finding candidates?
Not quite. The way it started is I realized so I started a little bit of recruiting. And I realized the clients that they had weren't good because they had a very arm's length relationship. And I was very confused. I'm like, wait, I sent a good candidate, but they're not going to respond to me? This is an odd thing to do. Yeah. And they're like, yeah, it's just DirecTV, man. Oh, it's just whatever, man. And I'm like, well, that's not okay with me. Let me go get my own business. So I was able to get business pretty easily. But then I was like, cool, you guys have great recruiters. Give me some candidates. And then I started realizing like, oh, no, you guys don't even have good recruiters. They're actually not good recruiters. So now I got to learn the recruiting game. So I learned the recruiting game. That's how I became full desk very quickly because I realized like, oh, y'all don't have business? No problem. You're great recruiters. I'll go get the business. Oh, you're not great recruiters? You're just average recruiters? Shit. All right, I guess I'll become a recruiter. So I played this whole angle. But luckily, I didn't ask these women to come over. I was like, wait a little bit. Because 2008, as you probably know, you're a veteran yourself in the business, like the lights got turned up. I went from being like, yeah, sure, man, I need this, to like laughing almost like, bro, what are you talking about? I just laid off 400 people. How about I give you that list and you help them? So then we just struggled like hell for the next, 18 months. Man, like it was tough. I don't know if you've seen any.
How did you actually make money in that period? Like, did you make enough to get by as a team?
Barely, man. I was probably making less than half of what I was used to at Kaplan, and it was already tough, right? My wife was a teacher, like a after school coordinator of like after school programs, and I don't think she was quite a teacher at that time. I was doing fine, but we had student debt and all this stuff. And we like to live well, right? So we're not going to live in, crappy apartments. We had a nice apartment. We had nice cars. And by nice, I mean like decent. And so it was tough, man. We struggled like hell. Benefits were terrible, as you could assume, as a small search firm. I didn't realize that. I was coming from a Fortune 500 company. It was an odd thing. And I remember being like 30-something thousand in the red. I don't know, commission wise, right? And I'm just like, what is the point of this? This is crazy. But there was something in the business that I liked. So I started thinking like, what do I do, right? Do I just go back to the industry? I still had a few opportunities, even though it was a recession. Like I would get those random calls. Yeah. And I said, man, you left for a reason, like just burn the boats, burn the ship, burn the boat. Let's just figure it out. And Jeff was great because he would say like, "Oh," I'm like, "Have you been through this?" He laughed. He was like, "Yeah, dude." He's like 83, 87, 91, 2001, 2000. I'm like, and he goes, "Yeah, usually, within, a year or so, it turns around and it's better than ever." I'm like, "All right." And there was this dude,
Funny,
James.
Joe, just to interrupt, like my story is the similarities. Like more mentally, like I was a school teacher in the UK who moved to Australia, and then my qualification wasn't valid. So I'm landed in Melbourne as a school teacher, but I would have had to pay like $10,000 to retrain. And then before I knew it, anyone who was British or Irish was working in recruitment. So I got a job for Randstad. I got a job in the corporate recruitment world for Randstad, the second biggest agency in the world. But I never really committed to it. Like I was doing it because I had to. So I'd go on a night out and I'd meet like a girl and they'd be like, "What do you do?" And I'd be like, "I'm a school teacher that works in recruitment." And they'd be like, "What?" It was only until I moved back to the UK 2 years later that it was easier to get a job in London in recruitment than in teaching. Like I was a PE teacher, physical education teacher.
Oh, cool.
So to get a job it's so competitive. You'd have to move wherever the job was, a bit like your New York thing. Yeah. So I said no. I went straight to London, got a recruitment job in the city, and I was like, bang. And then 3 months of that job, I wasn't going to make it because I was constantly going, "What am I? Like, am I a teacher or not? Like, what am I? What do I do?" And then my business partner now, he got me a job because he was also a teacher but he got an education recruitment job. And he got me 1 day as a substitute teacher for 1 day in a primary school in London. And he said, "Look, you keep fucking talking about it. Go and do a day in a school and see if you still like." I did 1 day, and that was the best thing I ever did. I was
I'm done.
No, and then I changed my life. The following week, I was like, "I'm a recruiter," and then my life changed. But so I can relate to so much of what you just said.
Sean, even more in common that you didn't know about. So before Kaplan, I worked for LAUSD. And before I was a senior traveling program manager, whatever they called it, I ran sports programs from elementaries and middle schools. So, in addition to that, to pay off debt, I was a PE teacher at those schools. So I spent but it was the best job in the world. I mean, I would go, people would say, "How are you get in such good shape?" I said, "Let me explain what I do. I wear shorts. I go to school. I throw the football and kids go and play football with me. And then I throw the basketball and they play basketball with me. And I get to do pull-ups all day. Like it's the greatest job in the world." And unfortunately, I had to give that up to be a grown-up. No. But God, it was good.
I agree. I was 21 at the time.
Best job I've ever had.
So we're coming out of the recession at the Mitchell Group. A couple of years later, you flip this company, right? It turns into your business. So how did you go from?
Quite a few years before that, we were kind of just trucking along, and then we started experiencing a little bit of growth in 2009, end of 2009, and started doing okay. 2010, we started doing pretty well. Started making some money. In 11, I became an owner in the company. Jeff and I became business partners. I was a minority owner, and eventually was buying in, and getting shares and things like that, and I became a legitimate owner in the company. The problem is it was Jeff's company, right? So at the end of the day, he would decide if we can budget someone or not. He would decide how conservative or how risky we were, and he was just in a different part of his life even then. But I think it's also a personality thing. He just wasn't very Jeff's a very chill guy. He's not really like ultra money motivated. He always had very chill cars, and he didn't care about those things. So for him, the risk reward of risking it all wasn't worth it. He didn't want to die broke. That was his whole thing versus me. I wanted to, go crazy and build stuff. And so at one point, maybe it was 2014, I said, "Jeff, I think I want to do my own thing." And he was like, "What do you need? You need more equity, more money. Don't worry." I said, No, dude. You've done everything and more. You've been incredible. I want to build my own thing. I want to do my own thing. What do you mean?
What are you, 33 or so at this point?
Yeah, exactly. Good math. By now, by the way, I have 2 kids now.
Life's a bit different.
Yeah, and so funny story. In 2008, while we're trying to figure out, am I going to even make it or not? My wife's like, "Oh, I'm pregnant," right? So we're like, "Oh, great. This is going to be fun. We're making half the money, and now we have a baby on the way." But that God opens doors, man. So I wasn't even worried. But anyway, so at this point, I'm 33 years old, and I'm just starving for growth, right? And Jeff's thing was, singles and doubles. I'm like, no, I want to hit home runs, man. So funny story. He goes, all right, I'll come with you. I'm like, what do you mean? I said, this is your baby. He goes, no, it won't be right. But I said, Jeff, you don't understand it. I'm going to run this. I'm going to be the CEO. I'm going to step on it. I want to go national. He's like, let's do it. So we took one server, one employee. We asked her to move back from Arizona. We said, Jackie, we're starting a new company. We need you here. She's like, what? Like, we need you here. We need your like maturity and your, your presence and all the finance stuff. She was working part-time. Mitchell Group was a tiny little company. So she goes, okay, fine. So she moved back to LA. We opened a new office and just started from scratch, basically, and HIRECLOUT, everything was different, right? We were going to be more tech centric. We were going to be national versus regional. We were going to build good tech. We were going to hire better people, pay better salaries, better commission model, everything, right? It was just like, it was a different model. It was under kind of how I was doing things.
Were you a majority shareholder in that business?
At the beginning, not quite. And then a little bit, it was more of a 50-50 thing. But the concept was we had true roles. Like, I'm the CEO. I run the show. You're, the president. You're going to deal with finances and payroll and all that legal and all that crap. And you're going to coach and do all the things you love. And I was always the business guy, right? I was the one bringing 80% of the business. So for Jeff, it was just smart to go to kind of go along with the ride. And Jeff's a very smart guy. His ego in 2008-7 could have told me to go, myself, right? When you're like, hey, you're going to get out of the way for me to build it? What? Shut your ass up. Like, who are you, bro? But it was like, yeah, that's just Jeff's mindset. He's just like, yeah, whatever, man, whatever. This is your world. Let's go. It's kind of brilliant,
I like his energy. Yeah.
I used to tease him all the time because I would say, man, it must be, there's brilliance in your ignorance, because he just would not know about Tracker or RT. He wouldn't know about any of our systems. So he would find ways to kind of just chill. And I took on most of the responsibilities because I cared about everything.
Okay.
So
before HIRECLOUT,
yes,
the business, was there a niche or like a market position?
Yeah.
In the Mitchell?
Yeah, the Mitchell Group was unfortunately didn't have an ultra niche, but it was basically enterprise legacy IT type of stuff in Southern California. So we did basically LA and Orange County. That was it. And it was wherever we can get solid business with good relationships. And that was it, just like whatever we can get, Java architects and enterprise architects and, IT managers and more, I'd say legacy IT is what we'd call it today.
And you said getting business was quite easy for you, right? So what, the actual winning of new accounts or opening doors, bringing on roles, what would you say has been your secret to that? Like, why? What would be your route to opening doors, and why does it work for you?
In 2007, when I was scared the hell to do cold calls, the way I looked at it is, and I looked at it wrong. It's even way bigger than that. I say, if I pick up this phone call and Sean says, go away, I hang up the phone and nothing happens. I still get to go home to my beautiful family, right? If Sean says yes, I can make a $30,000 fee. And in my pocket, 10, 15 grand, whatever it was, right, at the time. Well, what I didn't realize is that was thinking small, even though to me that was thinking big. I was wait a minute, no. Sean's saying yes is actually probably going to be worth about $300,000 because of the 10 deals we're going to do together.
Yeah.
But then looking at my career, one cold call to this day has probably made me about $3.5 million because it was one guy who led to mushrooming that company, who then went to other companies, who then referred. And so for me, it was always the risk of being turned down wasn't as bad as the reward of real money. Right. Yeah. And I always wanted control. I didn't want to be told kind of like, hey, you're killing it, but there's nothing we can do. This is what I heard all my career. We just gave you a raise. Unfortunately, you can't get a promotion because there's only 4 people in the country that do what next guy does, and he's going to retire. And I'm like, so this was like, wait, I can create my own destiny, And so like, get out of my way. Like, I got this. So kind of no fear. Relationship building, more consultative, which now is a normal thing, but back then it wasn't, right? It was a lot of sales crap and people didn't respond to that. And I was like, no BS.
But did you lead with, we've got great talent, we've got a specific candidate in mind? Or was it was it a different position?
Jeff did something great. He would just like talk to candidates. He would get leads, and then he would go meet this guy for coffee. I'm like, oh, okay. And I would go meet this guy for coffee. I'd like, all right, cool. I'm going to market this guy. And I would just call every company and say, hey, we just had a guy move out of Arizona, from Arizona to LA. Great Java engineer. Boom, 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 boom. Call me. And it would work. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. But then it stopped working because of the recession. And then it started working again. So I realized it's all about NPCs, man. No one cares about your service. Just do a great job for everybody. And naturally, I'm a go-giver. So the book, Go Givers Sell More. I don't know if you've ever read the book. Brilliant book. And I was like, oh, this is why people like me. Because it was like, for me, it was all about just taking care of people. Making sure I call Sean and say, hey, sorry, you're out, man. Like, this is what they said. Don't share it.
Yeah, do the basics right.
Basics, just human stuff. Like, Sean spent 6 hours of his day interviewing. I should probably tell him he's out. And people would say, hey, thank you so much. I'm like, for what? I just told you you're out. They're like, you're the only person that does this. Everybody else just ghosts. Weird.
It's a crazy industry that doing the simple things well actually separates you.
Isn't that weird? I would tell companies, hey, don't hire this guy. What do you mean? Don't hire him, dude. I think he's going to end up moving to Texas. He said some things that it's kind of weird. And they would be like, thank you. That's weird. Like, most people are shoving candidates down our throats. You're telling us not to hire your candidate. I'm like, no, dude, I'll hire you someone else. I'm not worrying about that. I still want my money. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to get my money, but I'm going to get it the right way.
Well, I had the same thing on both sides. I did all contract recruitment in London, and it's a fast-paced market. A lot of people knew people. And I remember having a role. I've told this story before on the show where I had a role on, and I knew the hiring manager was a difficult guy. Like, he was really particular with what he wanted. I knew him well. And I met this guy who on paper was perfect, right? And I met him face to face in a coffee shop in London. And I said, look, you on paper, you're perfect, but you're not going to get this job. And if you do get the job, you're not going to make it. And he said, what? I said, he's going to eat you alive. Like, the hiring manager is going to eat you alive. Like, on paper, you're right. You're not right culturally. I'm not going to put your name for this role. I'm not going to represent you, but I've got other things we can talk about. And he stood up and he shook my hand. He's like, I can't believe how honest you've been. Like, I've never had a recruiter talk to me like that. Now, the funny thing was, on this occasion, he speaks to my direct competitor, gets his CV sent that day, interviews the next day, got the job, and worked there for 2.5 years. So I got it completely wrong.
Oh,
I got it so wrong. But the reason I say the story is that's the one time I got it wrong. Like, every other time I did that, it worked, and I was right. But I'll never forget when that guy.
That's hilarious. That's what we tell their people: don't overthink, right? And in that case, you overthink. That's funny. Thanks for sharing that, man.
So going into the business then. So now you're behind the wheel. You're making the big decisions. Yep. How has the trajectory of that business grown? Talk us through the ramp up phase, because obviously, a few years in, COVID starts to come about. So you're just getting things started.
We went 0 to 4 million, 3.5 million or so pretty quickly, but then we got stuck. At that kind of that beyond mom and pop, but still kind of a lifestyle business, not very profitable. And we just couldn't figure out how to get to the next stage. Right. And we just couldn't. And it was really in our hiring. It was about like we would hire the local person who would take a 4K draw, and we wouldn't think bigger than that. And so we just started hiring better. We hired this guy, Jake Lipton, at the time, good guy. He spun off a company for us now called Phionics, but really sharp guy. And we started scaling him, right? We started realizing this guy's super talented. Let's make him a lead. And then, let's make him a manager. Oh my God, let's make him a director. He never really wanted to be a leader. He kind of went along for the ride, and he did a great job for as long as he could. But really, he wanted to be an IC and just make a ton of money. That was his motivation. But he wanted to constantly be challenged. So we just started hiring better people. The key thing that changed us is when COVID shutdown happened. Now, looking back, we all know what happened. But in the moment, it's very scary, right? Like, we had that whole shutdown. Sean, I don't know what it looked like in the UK, but in LA, they were like, you are not allowed to go to the office. So I remember, I remember driving home, and I was talking to my mom, and I kind of teared up. And she's like, you all right? Like, do you need money? I kind of laughed. I was like, no. I don't need money, hon. I'm just worried, Mom. I'm just worried about my employees. Like, if I don't know how long this is going to be, and what am I going to do with them, right? At this point, we have a decent amount of people. But once we survived that, the decision we had to make is like, what do we do? Do we just kind of do what we did in 2009 and grow slowly, or do we freaking step on it? And so what I did is I started hiring a bunch of people, and it made no sense to anyone. Because, like, what are you talking
in the first sort of 6 months of the
right after the first 6 months. So the first 3 months was a complete shutdown, and then we come back to a little bit of normalness, but it's still tough. And I started hiring people, and everybody's like, "What are you doing? What do you mean?" I said, "We got to take advantage of when this turns around." What turns?
And a lot of good people were
available
or on the fence of thinking, well, "Am I going to stay where I am?"
Exactly.
What's your role at this point? So just going back to the period where you were stuck in growth, and then what was your role? Because you mentioned, lifestyle business. What were you doing at that point?
I was getting business. So I was like the key.
Still doing business development.
Yeah, I was the key business guy, and I was managing my accounts, the big relationship stuff. I guess I was managing the teams, kind of just slowly building, trying to build a little bit of a brand. It was really focused on BD, to be honest with you, and client kind of management. I didn't do much recruiting, did a little bit of that based on relationships. And just kind of trying to figure out and scale the company. The few things that started changing us, Sean, is I joined Vistage. I don't know if you've ever heard of Vistage. No. I joined. It's like a CEO.
Entrepreneurial network.
Yeah, it is. It is basically. Yeah. It's CEOs of whatever. I think the minimum was like $1 or $2 million dollar businesses up to 100 million businesses, whatever it was. It's like YPO, but a little bit smaller scale.
I think I've heard of it actually.
It's huge. Yeah, it's huge. What that did for me is I started just running things by people outside of me and Jeff. That was the problem with Jeff and I's kind of thing, is we would agree or disagree, and if we disagreed, we just punted things to later, right? Out of respect for each other. The problem is we didn't get anywhere. And so Vistage was great because it gave me the confidence to kind of take a step back and understand from other people what they were dealing with and what they were doing differently than me. And when they challenged me, like, I would get frustrated with young people because they wouldn't respond to the important emails on a Sunday. And somebody would say, "Oh, that's his weekend." I'm like, "But you don't understand. It was his placement at his client." And it was like, "I understand your frustration, but you understand that was his Sunday." Like, and I'm like, I started looking at things differently and people differently. So joining Vistage was huge. We implemented EOS. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I've done it myself.
Oh, cool. Up until that point, again, we were like a practice. We were not a real business. We were just kind of, I don't know, just having meetings just to talk about business, like oh, let's fill these roles, let's talk about this. Never actual business.
And then you put in a level 10 and
exactly. We brought in a whole implementer, and we implemented, and we spent good money to structure the business and pushed people out. And that's kind of what helped us become a little bit of a more streamlined, efficient business. And it started helping us get better. And that was the beginning of like, okay, this is a real business. This is not just a mom and pop practice. We can, I think, scale this thing. So when COVID came, we had that confidence to make decisions.
And you had capital in the bank to do it.
Yeah, we were doing all right. As I mentioned to you, I had other ways of making money, and all those years I had stacked chips, so I was confident I could add business, money to the business if needed. So that's when during COVID I took a huge risk, because the story that I tell is in 2009 and 10, I was working with this company called Maker Studios, and I was hiring a lot for them, what I thought was a lot. And we were exclusive with them. And then one day I found out there's like 4 or 5 other firms working on it. I got offended. I called the guy and I said, "Hey man, what's happening? We used to work with you guys exclusively." He goes, "Dude, you guys are phenomenal, like onesie twosies, but we need to hire 10, 20 people and you guys just couldn't handle the volume." And I was thinking, shit, you never said you wanted volume. So that really stuck with me. And it went from our best client to like where I said, "Look, don't use me and 5 others. Either use me exclusively or one of 2, or just, even if it means you park me, don't call me for these roles." They were like, "Okay, you know what? You're right. It is getting messy. You're right. We don't get good talent anymore. You're right. they were kind of whoring themselves out. So every time I'd call people, they're like, oh, man, I've heard of that company 10 times, man. Like, how desperate are they? So long story short, that resonated with me. And I'm like, we're not doing that again. So instead of waiting for growth, we're going to create growth. We're going to be ready for growth when it turns around. So I started hiring people, you know.
What did your headcount go from and to in this period?
I don't even remember. Let's say we had 5 recruiters, 6 recruiters. We went to 10 when we should have gone to 2.
Yeah.
Right. And the problem,
you didn't realize, but the market was about to boom as well.
I didn't know. I just kept saying pent up demand, pent up demand, pent up demand. And so funny enough, pent up demand was a real thing. I was just saying it. I was just freaking saying it. And all of a sudden there's this business coming and then more business. I'm like, we got to hire. We got to take advantage of this. So I'm super inspired and motivated to go get that business and not to make the mistake we did in 2009. Because remember, I was looking at Jeff to, what do we do? Well, now I'm like, we're going to do this. And he's like, all right, it's risky, but all right. It was a weird time, man. So if I could be honest, we hired a bunch of average people and we did average training because mostly remote. And when the business turned around, we made money. And then we kept hiring people.
If you're going to hire someone offshore, make sure you pick the right partner. Today's sponsor, Remote Recruitment, are my partner of choice. And the reason is they put every single South African hire through a 15-point vetting system. They run a bespoke trial built with you so you see what they're like before they even enter your business. They do the final interview after proof of performance. And there's a free 12-month replacement if they're not right. So there's no like seeing random CVs and loads of interviews. It's just a really seamless process that is stringent, it's organized, and it works. And if they don't work it out, look, they'll replace it really, really quick. So you don't need to worry about national insurance, NI, setting up companies. They manage the whole piece without you worrying. Now, if you're a RAG listener, you get 5% off your first hire. You get a free remote hiring roadmap, and they've got an ROI calculator that you can look at back office and business development roles and see the impact they can have on your business. If you'd like to access this amazing offer, go to www.remoterecruitment.co.uk/RAG. My research said by 2022, I think you publicly said that, you know, you probably grew too quick in certain instances. And maybe, and you're not the first person I've interviewed around the same time. Like literally one of my episodes went live a couple of weeks ago with Logan Knight, who's, you know, he's got 200, I think he's about 250 staff now.
Wow.
He got to like 350 in that period. And they did a £10 million net profit year.
Wow.
And he, at the end of the year, in his public speech at the Christmas party, he basically said, look, we're heading towards an iceberg. And everyone else was like, what? Like expecting like clapping and champagne. And he's like Mr. Negative. And he just took a round of private equity investment. He was releasing over 30 million in
payroll
in dividends to the team, to the people that had built. And he's like, we're going to have to cut hard. Like, and they let 100 people, they cut 100 people that year. And he knew the quality of people coming in and the way they were, the way they were managing customers and stuff. He's like, the standards weren't what he'd set originally. Sure. And the market was the demand was the reason they were getting away with it.
Yes. And
the signs of job flow decreasing just in that Q4 was enough for him to say, if this carries on, we're on an incredible story. So again, I think that period of time was so many people did the same thing.
Oh yeah. So what I ended up doing, by the way, I hired some phenomenal people during that time too, but I hired what I called like role players, and I knew they were role players, but it's who we can get at the time fast, who were smart, by the way, but they just didn't have the chops to like really kill it.
The commercial element.
Yeah. They played a role. They did okay. But unlike Logan, who's clearly smarter than me, what happened was, 2022, we killed it, right? 21, 22, we absolutely killed it. I didn't have a $10 million EBITDA. We're private, so I won't share, but I did very well. And considering how small we were, and we hit Inc. 5,000 fastest growing companies 2 years in a row. So we're doing well, but we did say all the time to our team, guys, this isn't going to last. So 2 things I asked for. I said, guys, there's oil in the backyard. Go freaking get it. And they would look at me like, I'm like, no, you're not understanding. This oil will go away. And they were like, sure. But they weren't hungry, right? So they just were good enough just getting by. The difference between me and Logan is I knew something was going to come. but I didn't know it was going to be a massive iceberg. One, and two, he started cutting. I didn't. So I was really stubborn about, I don't do layoffs. I don't do layoffs. I don't do layoffs. What do you mean you don't do layoffs? Why don't you do layoffs, right? I cared about my people, and I thought, no. If I just truck through it, when everybody's dumping their people, these people will be loyal. They'll work harder than ever. And when things turn around, we'll kill it. Nope. Opposite. Those are the first people that didn't want to work. Those are the first people that resigned when we put some pressure, and we had to eventually eliminate, or they self-eliminated out anyway. And all it did, I thought I was being a good guy. I took most of the profits and left it in the business so that I don't have to do a layoff. And guess what? Most of it went away to my profit. Most of it, not all of it, but a lot of it went away and left in the business so I can retain my staff for the next boom. The problem is that next boom didn't come and didn't come and didn't come and didn't come. I mean, I was like, wow, this is legit. And it was confusing because there was no official recession, but it was clearly.
So how hard did things get in 23, 24?
It was weird because we were doing well, and then you had this weird semi cliff, and then it just got worse and worse and worse, right? It got to a point where we were breaking even barely, right? So there was no more profit to talk about. We were breaking even, but
Can we pause on that?
Yeah.
As a founder of a business myself, I know 9 years in the game that when profit isn't there, I mean, it might be why my hair's so great.
I'm getting there.
When profit isn't there, and even mid-month, you can see trajectories. It affects me. It affects me personally. It affects me professionally. But even the guy I am around, my kids, my wife, it gets on. And I'm working. I've been working on that for so long to be, neutral when it's good and neutral when it's bad. But how do you play? How do you cope with those times?
Great question. So I'm not like you in the sense that my biggest strength is I don't count my chips. Even at the casino, I don't count them when there's a lot of them. I don't worry when it's disappearing. It's a good and bad thing. At home, my mentality has always been, don't worry about budgets and all that. Just make more money than you spend. And at home, I'm lucky because my wife is very conservative. She lives, she keeps us kind of just really chill. And at work, I had Jeff, who was very conservative. So he would be the panic alarm, even when there was no need to panic. My mentality was, I don't do well during contractions. And that's not a compliment. That's not I don't do well. I don't hunker down and let's tighten up the books. I'm no, let's just grow. Let's just focus on revenue. Again, it's a problem, right? And because I have a fairly strong personality, people are kind of going along with it. He's the visionary. He's never done us wrong, right? I told people, don't worry, I got you. And don't worry, I had them, right? So we're going to go here. And we went there and we did well. The problem was we didn't watch it correctly. And yeah, it was tough. By the way, Sean, I was also a recruiter during the boom, right? So I'm a multi-year $1 million plus biller while running a company. So that at least allowed me to make money. So I didn't rely on profit is the problem, right? While Jeff was like, dude, I don't close as many deals as you. I barely close deals. So I need that profit. I was like, what are you talking about? And I was billing $1 million, being paid like a recruiter and my profit. Well, when profit wasn't there and I was billing less, I was still eating, right?
Yeah.
So it was tough, man. It was more tough about we're going in the opposite direction, which I had never done in my life, than necessarily looking at the P&L. It hit me afterwards when it just wouldn't go away. And I said, all right, we got to make some cuts. We didn't cut people unless they weren't good. Then we cut them for performance. We got rid of tools and unnecessary crap. LinkedIn was terrible. They were the worst partner ever. And I tell them this publicly to their face. I'm like, you guys are the least trustworthy partner I've ever worked with. Because I was like, I don't need 28 licenses, guys. I'm at 10 people. I can't pay.
Loads of businesses actually went under because of that.
100%. And I heard stories they were like, sorry, you didn't go under. It's like, no, you don't understand. If you don't cut my things, I cannot pay you, and I will have to go under. They were horrendous. So I had to survive 2.5 years with this terrible contract. It was like a team with a really bad player that's always injured, and you don't need him, and he's making $50 million a year, and he's like, sorry, I don't know what to tell you, man.
Yeah.
So,
But you kept paying it.
oh, of course we did. And our real estate during COVID was like, no, there's no abatement. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, I don't need 6,000 square feet, man. Like, I got like, sorry, there's nothing we can do. What do you want to do? What do you want? I was like, okay, I guess we just got to truck through it. So for me, it was just a mentality of just like, this is a Jeff thing. Keep plugging. Just keep coming in. Just do it, man. Just get through it. Mark Cohen, who you know, would one day gave me the best compliment. He goes, man, I got to tell you something, man. You guys are great. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, most people have their heads down and they're depressed. They're angry. He's like, I've never seen someone so like positive with what you guys are dealing with. And I was like, look, deep down inside, I'm frustrated, but life is short, man. Like, I don't want to be miserable. I don't want to make my team miserable. Yeah, I'm laughing. Yeah, I'm having a good time. Yeah, we're still doing happy hours. And guess what, man? At 6:30, I get to go home, kiss my wife and kids, and have a great life. Like, I'm not going to worry about this, man. God's got me, you know, like I would tell my team, this was a good one. Really. I think this helped them. I said, don't look at it as what's being done to you, what's being done for you. This recession is good for you. What do you mean? It's like, you're going to get better, guys. Trust me.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. My best people who stuck it out and the few people that I hired during the recession are phenomenal. And now they're, you know, they survived 300, 400, 500K billion years, and God willing, and we've hired some phenomenal people recently. They'll do 5, 6, 7, 800 when the market just becomes okay. And 1 million.
Where is the market? Where is the market now? And when have you seen signs changing?
Great question. Man, like the market's weird. It's giving us like indications of positive momentum. Like we had a really good Q4, gave us a lot of confidence to go and hire a bunch of people. Q1's kind of funky. It's kind of like it's trying to rebound, and you know, there's a little bit more business, but still hesitation from companies to pull triggers. They want the best of the best of the best of the best, you know, and nothing else. So the market's still funky. I'll just say that, but I'm betting on the future.
We haven't touched on your global or, you know, your office branch network. So, you know, you've got international and national offices. What's the story there?
So the people, we no longer have offices outside of LA. They're just more people and pods is how I would look at it. We had offices, but we decided like it doesn't make any sense. So during the shutdown in Armenia, we were paying, you know, more rent or mortgage or whatever, and we had no one that can go in. I mean, no one would go in, and the buildings were shut down. So I'm thinking 8 months later, like, we don't need an office, shut it down. In Colombia and Brazil, we started remote, so we just stayed remote. In India, everybody was really far away from each other. So we're like, what are we going to do? Force you all to take a 2-hour train? I didn't realize how huge India was. And so we just decided to be remote everywhere. In the US, the few folks we've hired outside of LA are remote for now. The idea, though, is we don't hire remote people in the US. We hire great leaders who can lead a team and open an office eventually, but are remote to start. So we don't want that crazy pressure.
Reason why you need, if you are remote, what's the point in having people in these locations? Why don't you just have a lot of remote people in Southern California?
We may. Oh, you mean in LA? Man, there's a different.
What's the point in hiring in Armenia and India? Like, what's the benefit? Are you recruiting for clients in those regions?
No.
Is it time zone, candidate related? What is it?
No. So at one point it was like Armenia was a good hub for Europe because we would hire in Hungary and we'd hire in the UK, believe it or not, out of Armenia, because I had recruiters in Armenia. I no longer have recruiters in Armenia. It's more operational marketing folks. It's very small at this point. India was our back office sourcing and research team. That team shrunk too. We only have a few, and they're terrific, and they're just coordinators, sourcing and coordinators, just to give us some really good knowledge. I mean, these are like 10, 20-year veterans at fractional the cost as you can, and they do the opposite market, right? They do the opposite hours. And then Colombia and Brazil, it's just Colombia now. Again, same thing, just sharp young people that do the sourcing and coordinating, back office, not a lot of...
On more of in the right time zone.
Exactly. So what we do here is more... everybody here in LA and the United States, I should say, is full desk, pretty much 360. So that's the concept. Why not have everyone remote? It's just different in LA when you have an office full of people, man, and the energy and the lessons and the learning and all that stuff. I think it's very, very valuable. I have a great setup at home. I even have a back house situation, but I don't like working remote. My team is hybrid, so 3 to 5 days a week, usually three or four. But I come in almost every single day.
Fair. How is AI affecting? There's two questions here. There's one around your own business usage of AI, but the industry, how is AI affecting your customers making decisions?
It's interesting. I can't quite tell because there's the AI companies who are hiring AI talent from us, and there's an insane bar, and they want the same people that NVIDIA wants, Anthropic wants, but they want to pay them 1/4, as you know. So there's that angle, and that's quite frustrating. But we play the game. We hire for those kind of companies. Then there's everyone else that's trying to just optimize what they're doing and do more with less. But what I'm understanding, believe it or not, is there's a little bit of a hesitation from engineering leaders to full on do AI. Bring in AI. So what we do for mid-cap companies is we actually have a consulting team that builds small AI workflows for them. That's interesting. That's kind of an interesting use case. I should probably say edge case because it's not that often. I can't tell yet. I can't tell because I think everybody thinks AI is going to be the solution for never having employees again. And I don't think we're there. And I don't know if we're going to get there anytime soon.
I hope we don't. I really hope we don't.
I hope so. I hope so too, man. I mean, what else are we going to do?
Exactly. I really hope we don't. But I am, especially in the space you operate, and it's a common theme that clients are clearly a little bit more stringent. They're a little bit more, maybe they think they've got a little bit more power with AI in their pocket that they can, they can do more themselves. But I still think there's so much business to be won out there. And that's my next question around your business. What I notice about you is you're living and breathing what I would say is the modern business, right? Mm-hmm. You've got a really cool brand.
Thank you.
You're at the face of it. You got the podcast. I want to find out a bit more about that. But you're creating demand in the market, but you're also leveraging AI internally. My research, suggests you guys, you're building tech, but you're also focusing on rolling out across the business. So talk us through that the kind of those two components in how HIRECLOUT is operating now compared to the past.
The key difference, Sean, which led to the internal AI, was the fact that in when we had to, my director here, Melanie, who worked really, really, really hard for years to get rid of bad habits and employees that didn't want to do what they were supposed to do. So now she's like gung-ho and never settling again, right? We raise bar raisers or nothing. And we live by that. And it's painful because we sometimes have to let go of people we kind of like. We're like, she liked this dude or I like this lady, but we have to let them go because if they're not bar raisers, they're actually anchors, right? Let's be honest. So that's nice. But what happens when business starts coming around and your team is thinned out? I mean, we got really thin at one point. And sure, I looked around, the office was half empty. And during remote days, damn near empty. Wow. It was depressing. But good news is I had great people. Only great people left. But great people still can only work 8-9 hours. You know what I'm saying? So what are we going to do? So we started thinking, let's do more with less. Meaning, let's build tech to make those people faster or more efficient. Not replace them, but to make them faster and more efficient. So if they can only cover 3-4 roles before, can we get them to cover 5, 6, or 10? If they spent 4 hours clicking and sourcing, and why would they do that? So let's build an engine to source faster. Now we're still in the midst of it, so there's really nothing I can. Oh my God, it's amazing.
Well, what I read is Melanie's goal, I suppose, is. And this is Melanie Fisher, right?
Yeah.
Goal is to reduce hiring by 75%. Sorry, reduce hiring time by 75%.
Yeah, at least.
AI workflows.
At least, right? Because I mean, if it takes 50 to 60 days to hire, that's insane. Can we get that down to? My vision is, can we get that down to 6 to 10 days? Nearly impossible, right? So that's kind of our obsession. Now we just realized, look, AI is not going to, it's not going to 10x our recruiters. Let's be honest. It could 2x them, maybe. It hasn't yet. What we're doing, Sean, by the way, is also making them happier by eliminating things they're not only not good at,
They don't want to do.
they want to do. Documentation.
Literally, you're like reading my mind right now.
Yeah.
This is literally the two things I'm saying all the time is for people to excel, and that is founders as well. Is we should be doing the things we enjoy and we're good at. Like if we can double down on those two things, we're gonna win.
That's why I've never burnt out, Sean, because I only do things I enjoy. I haven't built up a life where it's so expensive that I have to whore myself out to doing things I don't enjoy. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, if I don't like it, I'm not doing it. If a client's disrespectful, I'm firing them. You know, if they disrespect my team, I'm gonna say that you're wrong on this one. I don't care what they say. It's like it's done. That's how I live my life. So for me, AI is not there yet. We're not ready to 10x the 4 or 5 great senior people we had left. So we went out and got a few more big billers. We went and hired a principal on the executive search side, GTM executive search. We went out and got a director of just BD that's going to bring East Coast, tri-state business and national business. Eventually, we'll bring in a consulting head of consulting who can just go and just build our consulting business. These are the things we're focused on. But the promise for them coming in is we're going to take you as a 5, 6, 700K biller. And by these tools and systems and AI, we're going to try to get you to $1 million. That's our obsession, but you got to trust us and you got to get more than you're used to.
How far down that journey would you say you are now in like demonstrable ROI on the AI investment per head?
Great question. The ROI is tough to tell from an energy perspective. The ROI is there. From a bottom line, real numbers ROI, I don't think we're there. I mean, who wants to do a half-hour write-up? Who wants to take notes instead of just making eye contact and talking? Who wants to document stuff in a system? It's all done for them. It's freaking incredible, right? And like big billers are sitting there going like, oh crap. Not one person saying, damn it, I love documentation. I loved it. I freaking love writing, by hand. Like I was never a fast typer. Like for me, dude, write-ups took half an hour and it was all from my memory. And from my chicken scratch notes. And so for me, like we built that knowing that that's what's going to attract great people and it's going to retain great people. As far as like the other stuff we're building, BD capabilities, automated sourcing, all that stuff's going to take time and it's going to be a money drain until it's not. So it's too early to tell. When I do version 2 of this podcast, Sean, if you'll have me back on, hopefully I'll have some cooler stories. But we're excited, man. We're excited to build really cool shit that attracts the best of the best of the best, where they can just take on more. So if it's a GTM leader that only takes on executive roles, look, go bring other business from that executive who needs to hire non-executives. I know you don't love that. We got a team to support you on that. And you've got AI.
The offshore team and AI, essentially. Yep. Everyone's got an offshore resource and AI, which is
absolutely
a modern business. So let me there's 2 final questions then. So my first question is, what do you do? So I asked it before. I know you do the things you enjoy, but for people listening who can't picture that, I think I can see it. But how would you break down your role and what you actually spend your time doing?
I still do I do a lot of relationship building. Just naturally, that's what I do. So I get invited to really cool events. So I spoke at the Hunt Scanlon event, for example, right? Well, I build relationships and now we want to capitalize on them. So we'll be going up to the Bay Area to meet some private equity guys, some VC guys, building relationships. So I speak at a lot of events. I go and judge startups and I build relationships. So I still bring on business, and it's not through cold calling, and it's not necessarily doing emails to ask for business. It's more relationship building and then passing things off. That's one thing I do a lot. 2, I help, with the branding stuff, right? That's my baby, right? I do the podcast. 3, I hire. I help hire the people here. I help train them. I mentor people. I coach them. I'm a sounding board to the senior recruiters when they come up with issues and let's say Melanie can't deal with it or it's just not her strength or they're stuck. What else? I deal with the finances. Unfortunately, now Jeff is completely out of the business. I have to really get in the weeds of things that I don't really love. I do that. client, I don't manage clients, but I pass them off to an account executive, let's say, but I'm still involved because I want my clients to know, like, hey, this guy's still around. So I show up to, let's say, 1/3 of those meetings are sync meetings. And then all the tech stuff. I have a CTO and a head of product that works out of my office. I work with them a lot on building and scaling that. What else do I do? I'm all day here working. I'm here 9 to 6.
One question I've got is about the podcast and the brand, because before you were telling us, your cold calling strategy was, and I can see you've got a natural way of communicating, right? You're a really good talker, and I can see you put people at ease quickly. I can see why cold calling worked for you, but my gut says, and I might be wrong, that at your level in your career now, then you're not banging cold calls all day.
No.
So and this is, I think we're very similar in my history as well. My brand, 1 million views a month on LinkedIn, 30,000 downloads of this podcast every single month. Globally, I spend over 20 grand a month on ads on Meta, reaching millions of people. I'm physically not doing the things I used to do, but I'm reaching way more people, and the impact on my business is insane.
Really?
What impact does your brand have? The podcast, the content, the things, the public speaking. Like, how are you still? What impact does that have on bringing in new logos and also keeping you in front of the ones you've maybe not got the time to speak to?
It's a really good question, Sean. It's tough to tell because we don't have like direct ROI that comes from it, right? Because you know how things go right now. I'm not going to get on a podcast and ask someone for business, right? I want them to be so impressed if they need it. Boom, they're going to come to us. I'm part of a big Tiger 21 like organization in LA, 100 members, and those guys come to me and they're like, hey, I need to scale my team. Can you handle it? No problem. Let's go. So my brand that's how it's helping the business. People know where I'm at. They know what I'm about, and they come to us and they know our HIRECLOUT's brand. As far as the podcast go, honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not really sure how much good it's doing. It's definitely not hurting. People talk about it. I love your show, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what do you love? They're like, oh, this episode with Matt Higgins when he said this and you said this. I'm like, okay, so you actually watch. You're not just being nice. I think it definitely helps, and it's starting to drive traffic to the website, and then those people are moving along the website and checking out different things and contacting us. I don't know exactly how the business, how it's relating directly one for one. Hey, I watched your episode with Sean. You guys are great. I want to do business with you. We haven't had those yet.
Well, they'll come. But the reality is you're in people's ear while they're driving, while they're walking, while they're jogging, while they're at the gym, whatever. You're in their ear in a way that your competition aren't at that moment.
Yep.
And I think you've got to remember the value of that. But look, we're out of time. Avetis, I've loved every second of this.
Thank you, brother.
I don't think we've even scratched the surface of what you're potentially about to build tech-wise and where you're heading. So I would really like, I'd like a part 2 on this. Let's say 12 months time, we bring you back on the end of this year. That's my final question is what do you want to be telling us in the introduction that you've achieved in the last 12 months?
I love it, man. I love it. I want to be able to say, hey, great news. All those people we hired in Q1 are great, and they brought in business, and I doubled down on them and hired another team of 4 or 5 in Q3. So that's working. We got the core business back on track to 2022 numbers, 22, 23 numbers. We're doing great. Everybody's happy. Family's good. That's what I'm hoping for. And then the tech is live, and I could actually tell you the ROI that it's driven. I can tell you it's filling roles on its own, and all the recruiters have to do is show up and do an interview. And that's all they have to do. The sourcing was done for them. The write-up was done for them. Everything was done for them. They just showed up to a call, built a relationship, sold the company, did the interview. They were already pre-qualified candidates. And boom, we cut, let's say we cut it by at least 50% by the end of the year, the amount of time to fill a job. That's my goal.
Well, I think you've left us with a pretty interesting episode trailer there for next time.
I love it.
All right. Avetis, if anyone's listened to the show and they like your style, they want to pick your brains on anything, I'm hoping that, I'm going to tag you on LinkedIn and everything. Please. Is it okay if they just reach out, direct message, yeah?
Absolutely. Direct message on LinkedIn or avetis@hireclout.com. We are hiring, scaling our own company. Any brilliant brains, come on by. Let's build something cool together. let's win together. I'm all about winning.
Thank you, brother. We'll get you back on in the future. I appreciate
Thank you so much, Sean. It's been a pleasure, man.
Thanks again for listening to today's episode of the RAG podcast. If you haven't already, please do subscribe wherever you listen to this show. As the more subscribers we get, the more people will listen and the more recruitment owners we can help. As a recruitment founder, you must know that things are changing. AI is everywhere. Cold outreach is getting harder, and job boards, well, they're not what they used to be. But personally, despite the negativity, I believe the future is the greatest opportunity of our lifetime in recruitment, because for the first time ever, a founder with 5 recruiters with a clear niche and the right systems can build the kind of influence, reach, and profitability that used to take 500 recruiters and a global office network. The agencies that are winning right now aren't necessarily the biggest, but they are the most visible, the most trusted, and the ones building inbound demand. At Hoxo, we're working with clients who are running multiple 6 and 7 figures in net profit, outperforming the negative noise and headlines. So, to explain what these guys are doing, I've created a brand new free masterclass video for RAG listeners. In this video, it's less than 10 minutes long. I'm going to show you what these businesses are doing differently from the rest. So the link's in the description. Fill in the form, watch the video, and see exactly how this system that these clients are using could work for your agency. Good luck.